What's going on? Thank you guys for tuning in. This is CaineCEO. Welcome to part 2 of exposing Activision. Now, in the first video, Prime Pete, the guy who video we're watching now, he gave us an insight as to how AI is being used and how Activision has implemented a system in BO6 that activates your camera. So whether you're a streamer or not, whether you're on PC or console, your camera is being used. So with that being said, we want to get to see what they missed, because apparently Prime Pete and the individual where he got the video from, I'll show his name in a second. They found more information, so let's get right into it. Truly appreciate you guys for being here, and if you haven't seen part 1, make sure after this video you head right down to my videos and click on Activision Exposed Part 1. Appreciate you.
We've been exposing Call of Duty using their game rigging patterns by exploring their usage of AI to create in-game content and advertisements. But this time, there's something so incredibly overlooked, so convincing, and something that's never been brought up before by any content creator that I have to bring this to light. This is probably the craziest evidence we've seen so far that Call of Duty is indeed rigged. The person that brought this to my attention first was Branch Off Bush, so all credit goes to him for this crazy observation. Do you guys remember when this happened to the loading screen in Modern Warfare 3? Every single loading screen had words across it that said, "Players who cooperate with their teammates win more games." At first, we speculated that this was just Activision flippantly responding to our complaints about getting screwed over by the terrible matchmaking systems. But I'm telling you right now, it's far worse than that. This is actually the worst AI blunder they've ever made, and it basically exposes everything we've been saying, including stuff about skill-based damage.
You see, if you're not familiar with skill-based matchmaking or SBMM, it's pretty much to say that if you go in a team, you have a party of people with you, the average of you guys' skills accumulated will be the lobby you'll find. So you'll find individuals who's a counterpart to each individual who's on your team. So if you're playing Rebirth or Resurgence, or if you're playing multiplayer, you'll find the same. If you go on solo, you'll find individuals who play similar to your style. So that's what skill-based matchmaking is. But the reality is, skill-based matchmaking never existed. It was skill-based damaging and skill-based kill. And what it is if you are, they'll put you in a lobby. And this is what I was saying before I found out the information from yesterday. They put you in a lobby with individuals who aren't as good as you, and to make them feel like they are good, to keep them wanting to play the game more, they'll make it to where you can your gun don't do as much damage as theirs would, even though your gun is way better than theirs. You get what I'm saying? It's to make it to where they don't want to quit.
Brace yourself. Here we go. There's an Activision-owned patent called Methods and Systems for Incentivizing Team Cooperation in Multiplayer Gaming Environments. While the title seems innocent, what it details is absolutely no joke. It is the updated and fine-tuned version of their in-game manipulations. Multiple images depict changing in-game parameters in real time, balancing the difficulty based on player.
So let me see the degree of accuracy required to hit a target. So again, that's what I was just saying: skill-based damaging and skill-based kill counts. So if you're a high-skill player, it takes you more damage. Like you have to aim higher. You have to be tighter and better with your game, with your shooting, and the kill counter. The TT, you know what I'm saying? It's not the TTK is not the same. Look at 312 versus 316. Likelihood of being targeted by enemy high. Difficulty of in-game puzzle high. So the better you are, the more you go through. I mean, I mean, it's a catch-22, because it sounds good, in theory, but the way they're utilizing it is horrendous, and it's cheating, blatantly cheating.
Player skill, buffing worse players, nerfing better players, and it doesn't stop there. There is one main point that is absolutely essential to take note of. AI has made mistakes before within Call of Duty. When designing this advertisement, it pulled the word marquee, which is used 22 times in an Activision-owned patent that details rigging the game to more effectively sell skins.
So when you see when we seen the word marquee in these bundles, that's because those are the pay to play or the pay to win.
The AI was clearly fed this patent in order to learn Activision's business goals, and it accidentally spit out this word when designing an advertisement. But in this patent, which we nicknamed Team Coop, there isn't much of a summary to steal from. I'll remind you that this patent details making a video game harder for better players and easier for worse players so that the two player types can artificially coexist.
That's tragic and disgusting.
Hence a clip like this, where a player clearly worse than me has better ping, more time to react, strong aim assist, and gets a bullet blanked on him and gets missed by a pixel 6 times. How this player ended up in my lobby was beyond me given the vast technical skill difference between us. However, he somehow ended up in my lobby, and not just that, but ended up killing me in a face-to-face, one-on-one when I saw him first. And the reasoning? Activision has technology that adjusts in-game parameters in real time to assist worse players. In this case, I suspected something slightly shifting my aim off target in order to keep him alive, and I also hit a blank shot. And before you deny that this patent is in use for Call of Duty, we first have to read this segment here. While aspects of the present specification may be described herein with reference to various game levels or modes, characters, roles, game items, etc., associated with a first-person shooter, it's not intended to be limited to that genre. So this technology was created by Activision with a first-person shooter in mind. Remember that. It was in mind when they made it. And let's not forget that Activision does not own a lot of modern shooters. They own no other multiplayer first-person shooters besides Overwatch and Call of Duty. And look at this. The application for the patent was filed in 2017, but it was published in 2019. I find it very interesting that we feel the huge paradigm shift with the entire nature of the game with Modern Warfare 2019. And this patent, which details game manipulation, was also published in the same year. Either way, this couldn't have been for anything else, especially if they're intending it to be for a first-person shooter. Anyways, take a look at these segments now. They all...
And see, what really gets me is, like, whenever I play, I used to be, like, I'll stream the game, and, and I'm kicking ass. And then, you can see where it's something weird, like, somebody should have died. You know what I mean? Like I should have got rid of them with no problem. And when I say something, it's always a feeling like, oh man, they're just probably better than you. But then you see that this happens to where, like, I can go in and get a team wipe, or I'll kill so many people, and because I get so many kills in such a short period of time, I'll start getting shadow banned. But it's not like it's unlike what I do when I'm not being when my game is not being rigged against me. See, when I don't have to go against the parameter shifts and I can just play and we play normally, I'm always great. But when I have to go against, the hackers and cheaters and the weird shit, and Activision is actively hacking and cheating for the individuals, it makes it harder for people like me. And that's one of the reasons why I deleted the game, man.
I'll describe what exactly the patented systems do. The systems and methods of the present specification may continually tune the gaming environment and its various parameters based on observations of player behavior, gameplay quality, and gaming experiences. Now we get into territory of clearly describing changing the gaming environment to suit each individual player differently. And it also says continually, so it isn't just once, it's in real time. The scoring engine may determine match scores based on dynamically changing information and adjust the matchmaking process accordingly. Again, we have more information that depicts an intricate matchmaking process that takes many variables into account in order to predetermine match results. But what kind of variables are we talking about? Well, this is where the patent gets a bit scary. But let's first keep observing what this patent details. Figure 3b shown here is a table providing an exemplary list of parameters of a gameplay session that are modified based on a player's skill level and the corresponding experience for players of different skill levels. Ha! That sounds familiar. Remember, even if there are things like gold and treasure mentioned, it is explicitly stated that this technology is originally intended to be utilized in a first-person shooter. And also, this image is years and years old. All they did was they updated the technology and then brought this image forward from another patent because they intend to use technology similar to it. Because some parameters here actually make sense in an FPS context. Things like the degree of accuracy required to hit a target, aka hitboxes, the likelihood of being targeted by an enemy, aka spawns, are both.
That's what I was saying. Like, sometimes in theory, it sounds great. because the better you are at the game, the more you should be able, the more they challenge you or throw it more test at you as far as the individuals you go against. So in theory, it sounds great, but how they're using it and why they're using it is fucking horrendous.
Things that could vastly manipulate your COD experience if they're tampered with. And especially in the case of spawns, it seems like they are. It also reads that the accuracy of player attacks needs to be less precise for a bad player than a good player. What we're getting at here is that Activision has a history of looking into tailoring gaming experiences for different skill levels of players beyond just the matchmaking. They have an extensive list of different live in-game parameters that could be tampered with based on skill. Now, Figure 3D is a flow diagram illustrating a method of determining a player's skill level and modifying a degree of difficulty of a gameplay session based on the acquired skill level in accordance with an implementation of the present specification. It just shows here that they gather the skill level data of everyone in the lobby and use that information to adjust certain parameters of the match. Again,
See?
this isn't made
And that's what I was saying in the beginning.
up. This is an image created by the company that owns Call of Duty for first-person shooters. Right here, it literally says, the present specification relates to dynamically adjusting a gaming environment in real time in order to improve matchmaking systems and methods that facilitate optimization of player matches for multiplayer video games. This right here summarizes everything we just talked about, but the next part is the most interesting, as well as facilitate friendly social interaction during and after gameplay. Now, we've all seen COD lobbies. We've all been in COD lobbies. For the most part, it's a pretty toxic environment. This is a classic trait of COD. However, the implication of this friendly social interaction bit cannot be overlooked. And here's where it gets unnerving.
And I hope this is where we get to talk about the chat bans and shit, because that shit's so fucking terrible, man.
Remember the title of this patent? It's Methods and Systems for Incentivizing Team Cooperation in Multiplayer Gaming Environments, which means that in one way or another, the systems described within the patent somehow work towards the goal of making players work together, be nice to each other, and be more satisfied with their experience. Now we're introduced in the patent to a concept called likability. Here's a description of its use. In embodiments, a degree of likability between two potential team players is used to determine a level of match between them. The degree of likability may be in the form of a match variable that is based on at least two different types of variables. First, an explicit set of variables may be used to influence the match variable. The explicit set of variables may include, but may not be limited to, an indication of a positive thought or emotion towards another player. The indication may be provided in the form of a thumbs up sign by one player for another player during or after a gameplay session where the two players participated. If the player gives a thumbs up, then this is an express statement of likability. In another example, predefined keywords or phrases picked up from the spoken/typed chats may be an indication of positive thought or emotion. Some exemplary keywords and phrases may include good, you played well, and congratulations. Notice here that it says it monitors spoken and typed chats. Not only is that really scary, that's also really convenient, as there's an AI that actively monitors your every word within Call of Duty's voice chat. What if it isn't just for banning people? What if it measures your likability and interaction with your teammates? I mean, isn't that what it's doing in the first place by banning you? If you're unlikable, if you're not cooperating, if you're not being nice, it just says you're done. Further,
And that's why it chat bans individuals no matter what you say. Like in the video I talked about yesterday, how we don't have any context. I thought it wasn't any context involved, I should say. And then to find out that they're accessing cameras, and not only are they accessing the cameras, but these same individuals are monitoring each word you say individually, which means they're trying to catch the context of the words. And depending on how many times you've been chat banned, you get chat banned for the most minimalist things. That means they're targeting certain things. They don't want you to say, "Oh man," that's what I'm saying. "Oh man, you trash, you trash." They want you to say, "Hey, good game. That was fun. Congratulations, you did great." They want robots. They don't want people to actually enjoy the game. We don't play the game based off the way that you decide we play. We play the game because we get to have fun and be who the fuck we want to be. As far as, you know what I mean, in this game, we can be hitmen and assassins and go around slicing people. We're not asking for your permission to do this shit. We could go play anything else. You know what I'm saying? Like there's Battlefield. There's Siege. It's crazy.
On mobile allows you to thumbs up your teammates at the end of a match, which also directly correlates with the thumbs up portion of this section of the patent. Now, what likability essentially is a tool that is used for matching players together based on some sort of score they've earned by being a good, positive, and cooperative teammate. But you gain and lose likability based on multiple factors. Consider it like a social credit score, but in Call of Duty. Further down in the patent, it details scarily specific ways that the game measures the connection between you and another player via likability. This excerpt here, though it's long, mentions that players that have the same music taste, purchase the same item from the game store, choose to watch the same replays, or have positive interactions with each other, greater likability can be assumed. But what's scary is that saying similar music taste is kind of unnerving, considering that if this software was actually in use the way they designed it, whatever was measuring their likability has access to metrics that are outside of the game. For
Ding, ding, ding.
example, like Spotify or Apple Music, measuring likability based on your interests outside of the game. Outside of that, Figure 4b shows different actions that positively and negatively affect your likability. Some examples we see here are saving a team member's life, defeating an enemy with a teammate, completing objectives with teammates, and complimenting, praising, or performing positive gestures to teammates. All of these more cooperative actions give the player a positive value added to their likability score. Things like killing a team member vastly decrease your likability. To add to this, you have things like quitting a session early affecting it negatively as well, or being toxic within voice chat. Finally, you have the way that your likability affects.
Now keep that in mind. It says these are your this was the healing another player. That is a cooperation of cooperative. Sorry, actions performed. Yes. Cooperation metrics +5. Sharing a weapon. No. 0 points. Saving a team member's life. Yes. +25. Killing a team member. Yes. -50. Several teammates contributed to defeating an enemy. Yes. +15 per member involved. Activating a coordinated team combo attack. Yes. +40. Completing level objectives alone. No, 0. Completing level objectives with a teammate. Yes, +10. Complimenting, praising, or positive gestures to the teammates. Yes, +5.
It negatively as well, or being toxic within voice chat. Finally, you have the way that your likability affects your matchmaking process. Figure 6a details the step-by-step process used in the matchmaking when utilizing your likability factor. I'm going to paraphrase it to simplify what this says. If you want to read it for yourself, just pause the video. First, likability metrics are measured between one player and others. Then a level of likability is established using the tracked metrics. Then a player is prompted with a survey or an opportunity to provide feedback about their experience in the last match. Kind of sounds like the post-game surveys they've been doing. Using these results and metrics, a positive or negative experience is concluded to have happened in the last match. Finally, a match is created by using these new likability values. So, your social credit score affects your matchmaking in this illustration. Players who have similar likability scores are matched together, and likability is based upon working with your teammates and using positive language. So the more you work with and praise your teammates, the more likely it is that you match with other players who do the same. The less you complain and quit out of frustration, the more positive matches you'll encounter as a result of having high likability. And this is a problem when the matchmaking is so aggravating and everyone is so toxic and the game is so bad that you're likely to be frustrated. But if you comply, you're going to have a better experience. So how would you summarize this patent? Take this system of likability and modifying game parameters to encourage more positive and compliant behavior, and then summarize the result of this system in one simple sentence. Could you
Trash.
do it? Well, Activision's AI bot did it perfectly. Players who cooperate with their teammates win more games. games. Yes, what I'm trying to tell you is another AI generated mishap that fully suggests that this patent that manipulates in-game parameters and tracks your social credit score is 100% in use, because the AI completely understands this technology and tries to enforce it. And this wasn't exactly a mishap of AI designed loading screens. Rather, it was some sort of an AI mishap that inserted text onto all players' screen at the very center. Every single loading screen had this piece of text slapped right in the middle. Take a look at all of these. Every single loading screen in the game had this piece of text right in the middle, which suggests that an AI was actively slapping it in while the game was active. It didn't.
That's wild. But it goes back to me saying the same thing, man. I've been saying this for a while. Even when I was calling myself the shark of Ashika Island, now we have shark skins. When I was saying when I said I'm a Hemosaurus Rex, now we have a Velociraptor skins. Every detail everything that we do is monitored. You know what I mean? And the individuals who Activision targets the most, and I honestly think they target people, is based off the way that you talk, the way that you engage with your people, and the things you talk about. Like my conversations genuinely are about things that's productive, about business. Sometimes we talk shit, we joke, we make jokes. I'm saying we always laugh with each other. We find things entertaining, especially within our core groups. So our conversations are generally our conversations. Uh, I never knew Activision was monitoring our shit. It's kind of Gestapo-ish.
Redesign
Then to be able to monitor the voice, the parameters outside of the game, and the camera when the camera is not even necessary for Call of Duty from Activision aspect. Come on now, bro. Sound kind of spyish.
them and re-upload them. Rather, it was actively modifying the game in real time.
To have the
So how are we gonna do this?
Placing the text there. Further, because Activision clearly doesn't check the work of their AI before releasing updates and advertisements, and we've seen this multiple times, it makes even more sense how this slipped by. There was complete radio silence about it, and then it was just suddenly removed. As we've seen in its attempt at advertising, this AI has a pro-Activision bias. Not only was this AI made to make Activision the most money possible, it was also made to reward positive player interactions and team play, because that results in a more positive player experience. And as a result, higher player retention and more money. It knows this because Activision has said it themselves in this patent. They want to incentivize team cooperation. How would it know to put something like this on screen to the players unless it was trying to coerce players into playing cooperatively, resulting in better likability, social credit score, resulting in better matches, resulting in player retention, resulting in money? And what's a good way to incentivize team cooperation in a team-based shooter? It's ultimately to tell the players that cooperating with your teammates wins you more games.
And that's crazy, man. Let me go back. I want you to understand what's happening here. The system that's in play is not for the people. It's not for the betterment of the people. It is for the destruction of the people. It's for the control of the individuals who are the masses, the elitists, because they want the consumer's money by all means. I have Activision tied to my Xbox and tied to my Steam. So when I used to play the previous version, Modern Warfare 3, I played on Steam. When I got BO6, I got it on the Xbox Pass for the PC. And, I couldn't bring my COD points from one to the next, even though they're connected and have the same exact name. I could use the skins. I could use the things that I buy. Like I would have to go over there and buy them first. They come over here and then buy them. So like it's not connected at all. You have to spend more money. This is a system. This is a system that's designed to take money from you.
in money. And what's a good way to incentivize team cooperation in a team-based shooter? It's ultimately to tell the players that cooperating with your teammates wins you more games. The AI that did this is just doing its job, but once again, ironically failing because of its limitations. It doesn't know the player base. It doesn't know how people will interpret or respond to the statement. AI assumes that whoever is reading what it says understands the language used fully, explaining the usage of the word marquee, and it explains that people will just take it at face value. Players who cooperate with their teammates win more games. Okay. I want to win more games. I'm going to cooperate with my teammates, which then gives me a more positive experience because I match with more cooperative and positive teammates as a result. Now I want to play more and give Activision more money. The best part is that this wording is taking the wording right out of the patent. First, it was the super specific wording of marquee, and now it's the word cooperate. Both instances that we suspect an AI was used, there are words taken directly out of the patents. Directly. This message was ultimately taken as the opposite. Players, including myself, thought it was a gaslighting strategy in order to make us think it's our fault we're constantly having aggravating matches and that it's not the algorithm's fault. If it was helping their cause, they would have left it in, right? If it was helping them, they would have left it in the game. But to nobody's surprise, this message in the middle of all loading screens was removed before the end of March of 2024. It didn't even last a month. Once it got enough negative coverage, it was removed. Or maybe it was removed because it wasn't any human employee that did it, and an AI slipped it into the update. Why would a human being put this in and then they immediately took it out? Either way, the fact it was removed is very telling. It was a direct summary of the patent that they
I was about to say that it wouldn't matter if there was AI or human. Either way it go, they told on themselves and they exposed themselves, and they will consistently do it because they really think that they win here.
created in order to incentivize team cooperation. The best way to incentivize team cooperation in a video game, and the only reason people cooperate in the first place, is that so they can win more games. This statement is so painfully obvious. Of course, cooperating with your teammates wins more games. It's a team-based shooter, but like the word marquee, the context of this statement is different than you might think. See, the reason we can say that it's AI generated is because it again assumes the context of something outside of a player's general understanding. The AI is not convinced that it's stating the obvious. It's taking the context of the patent and using that context to make a statement that it thinks best suits the motives of the company that it's working for. Its pro-Activision bias gives it more wiggle room than it needs, and as a result, it generates something that gives away their systems that function behind the scenes, just like with this marquee bundles thing. So now
it's just like being over arrogant, man. They got so above themselves that they didn't realize what they were doing, and they were really just opening the door and windows for everybody to see what's happening.
Now we've got two Activision-owned patents being either quoted or very accurately summarized in two suspiciously robotic ways. The word marquee shows up in a seasonal update announcement, and this team cooperation patent is randomly summarized in the middle of all loading screens when there was never any text there to begin with. Both were also at random times, one in the middle of a season and one in a random update. Both word usages were also directly assuming the context of either patent. If these statements are taken out of context, marquee doesn't make any sense, and players who cooperate with their teammates win more games is just stating the obvious. It isn't until the context of the patents are added that these two sentences make more sense and have much more depth than we originally thought. By observing that the AI uses context from two Activision-owned patents, this is even more evidence that these patents are being used within the game. The pro-Activision biased AI references them and uses systems that Activision uses to try to incentivize players to purchase skins because they'll be matched against easier competition. They'll also cooperate with their teammates more because their likability factor will increase and they'll have a more positive experience playing the game. The only way the AI would do these two things is if it knows that these systems are active. If they weren't, what's the point of using this incredibly specific language? What's the point of utilizing the direct context of the patents? It would be invalidated if these systems weren't active. Why say marquee if the microtransaction patent wasn't active? And marquee players wasn't a concept that was in use in-game. Why say players who cooperate with their teammates win more games unless doing so raises your likability, gives you better matches, and actually allows you to have a better experience? The AI throwing these things into the mix completely validates our suspicions about these patents being in use. Activision is overusing AI while it's still in a state where, despite it being impressive, it's still very volatile and unpredictable, which is causing them to accidentally expose more than they'd like. All they can do is cross their fingers and pray that nobody takes notice or deduces what is going on. But that's why people like Branch Off Bush, me, Blame Truth, Fooly, whoever, are
And me.
here because we notice these flaws and we expose them. Denying evidence this obvious is just pure cognitive dissonance. The game is playing you. Wake up. I'm Prime Pete. Stay safe out there. Take it easy.
So make sure you head over to his YouTube channel, Prime Pete, Branch Off Bush. And you already know who I am, Kane CEO. Hit the subscribe button, like the video. Don't like the video, but I hope you like the video. Comment down below what you think of the video and what you think of the context. And if you haven't done so, again, head over to the other video, part one, so you can get more of an understanding of what we're talking about here. Truly appreciate you guys for tuning in. I'm out.